It was FICA the whole time, LOL, it's me, Fike No Go. Fike No Go. And this is Echoes by Tipereth. Welcome to Map 9, Radio Silence. Our remote Dominion communications outpost receives a strange transmission. Hey Jimmy, can you check the old SOS channel? Just routine procedure. I had to tell you it was routine procedure because exposition, LOL. Yeah, sure. Computer, connect to emergency channel alpha.
Connecting. Please wait. Connection established.
This is Rachel Cicero of the Dominion Salvage Ship Monitor, calling all vessels. Someone, please hear this. The Zerg are overwhelming us. Someone, anyone, help us. We're being slaughtered out here. Holy shit, we have to do something. Oh man, that was great. That's the old UED channel, back from the last war. So, what we just heard was echoes bouncing around the network. Whoever that was, they've been dead for a long time. Terminate connection.
Connection terminated.
Hey, when did we start having a computer run our communications network? You know what? I don't remember. It just sort of happened. One day we had listening posts and relay stations, now it's just the AI. Press start! Oh, it's a space map. Oh, hello. Dominion Base, this is Captain FICA of the Salvage Vessel Monitor, requesting permission to dock and resupply. We know who you are, FICA. We know why you're here. Excuse me? I'm here to refuel. You must have me mistaken for someone else. FICA, Earth Intelligence Command. Captain of the research vessel Ironclad, presumed killed in the UED retreat. Ringing any bells? ... That's right, we have records. Paper records. We've watched as all the other listening posts went silent, ever so briefly. You're getting better. We couldn't detect the last few at all without our computers, and we both know how reliable those are. You have no idea what I am capable of! Oh, we know all about your stolen Protoss tech. That was a nice trick, using your communication system to issue false orders to the boogeyman. Before you murdered them in cold blood, they sent out a blast transmission that happened to bounce our way before your AI killed it. All this knowledge and no context. You must live in a constant state of paranoia. How terrible. Please, allow me to end that for you. All our computers are equipped with localized EMP emitters. The data is wiped and rewritten hundreds of times every second. Your EOLAs cannot live in our systems. We are prepared for you, and now it is time you stood trial for your crimes. We will be your judge, jury, and executioner. You dare claim Prometheus's fire as your own? The audacity of ye Terrans never ceases to astound me. We will rightfully tear your pathetic forces apart and take back what is rightfully ours. Commander, the Monitor seems to be equipped with some sort of spatial anchoring device. We are unable to reinforce our brethren. No matter. Report in once you have destroyed the Monitor. I am so confused. What did I just what just happened? What the hell? Reading radio transmissions? They're coming from the Monitor. They're broadcasting directly at us, but it's just white noise. What the hell are they up to? Why is Rastodon in here? He's a vile aggression. System online. Welcome to the EOLS command console. Oh, okay. I can see this wasn't tested at all as well. Yes. So this was the 4 years between contests of 2009. For some reason, Rastodon is in here as well. Yeah, and as like a throwaway thank you to Laconius, I guess he put his character in here. Wow, Mesk's credits are on another awful project. And Emu as well. General advice from Ricky. What a brave person. Somehow surviving Warcraft 3 and putting up with something for however many years, I don't remember. It's thanks to the campaign creations. Oh, okay. Hello. I was worried I wouldn't have enough easy mode. This was really meant to be something completely different, and it wasn't. Instead, it was shit. Probably have more APM in this mission than I did in all the other ones. I don't know, man. This is pretty psychotic. I never did get to see what Zephyr's siege mode was. I feel like this is another instance of like a campaign that was really rushed. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought they were Nightmare Scourge. Hi. Zerg flyers coming in fast. Oh shit, I lost all my shit. That's pretty crazy, lol. I'll be crying tomorrow too, buddy. Oh, okay. I don't get this one, man. This is really not the right kind of project for me. Why were there random Protoss aligned with the Dominion anyways? Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about those things. Sanitize the area, by the way. For some reason, my stuff is muted. Is there something hidden somewhere? I assume there must be. Or it's just broken again. That could be it too. What a bizarre situation to be in. Oh, never mind. There's just a zealot over here. Dominion Outpost, what is your status? Status, fully operational. All systems active and ready to transmit. Mastodon, the operation was a success. Says the High Templar. Excellent. No Terran shall ever, again, meddle in the technology of our gods. I don't understand. No Terran? But there's UED, lol? Well, what can we say about Echoes as a campaign, as a body? What a bizarre, strange campaign. I don't know if that Tipereth really had a grounding idea of the story that he wanted to tell. I guess the idea that he's trying something so advanced in terms of like how much work you need to put in to the not just the idea and concept phase of the project's story, but the execution as well. It implies that he wanted to shoot for something that would be really good or like really memorable, but I don't think that Echoes really is that memorable. I guess its storyline is zany and off the walls enough in terms of the way that it was presented that it might be memorable on those grounds, but the missions were really forgettable, or I guess like some of the installation maps were like crazy. But it seems that at every stage of the like every phase of the project, there was never a reason to play the game itself. And the gameplay was always taken like minimized as much as possible, and its impact ignored as much as possible in favor of having more story, like more of a story focus. And so I guess that is really the that's the takeaway. That's like the big takeaway, is that the story is meant to be somehow like more important than the gameplay. And I obviously don't agree with that. I've gone on the record several times saying that the story is, like, if you're trying to tell a cool story or a good story or whatever, if your only intent is to tell a good story, games are not your proper medium. You need to be writing a book, producing a television show, directing a movie, some other medium where the story is actually more important to, like, a good experience, right? And, even like a concept album or something with music would be more suited for that sort of task than this, where, you're basically keeping players captive until you're ready to allow them to play the game. And that's only, they have to go through the story first. Like, it should just be a well-oiled machine where the story is like offering enough of a reason, like a base justification for why there's gameplay, and then the gameplay is telling a lot of the story itself and characterizing the players within the story, the belligerents within the story, the factions at play, all of that stuff, by way of strengths and, you know, all of the things that this campaign and many other campaigns before it and after it have just tried to beat over players' heads by way of like really obvious exposition or something like that. Like all that shit could be explained, quote unquote, demonstrated through gameplay. And I'm going to be making a more editorial type, like design focused video on that at some point. But I don't see, the thing is, I was talking a couple of videos ago in this series about how I was struggling to reverse engineer Tipereth's like his intention when he made this campaign. I was struggling to reverse engineer that intention from the end product, and I think I understand it a bit better now. He really did want to focus on the story, and he was just wrapped up in a very incorrect medium. I would say that this is another campaign that winds up being worse in terms of gameplay than the Blizzard campaigns, and that is like such an easy bar to exceed at. You don't even really need custom AI scripts to exceed at, you know, creating compelling gameplay for an RTS than, you know, what you wind up with Blizzard's. And so when your campaign isn't as compelling as Blizzard's in the gameplay department, I feel like you've really fucked up somewhere. So that would be like my first point of contention for Echoes itself, is that the gameplay is really not good. What it adds with its new units, or its new units, quote unquote, you know, its upgraded versions of units, what it adds in terms of them, those concepts aren't good enough and are not executed well enough to somehow replace the, how would you describe it? I don't think they were intended to replace all of the gameplay that was removed in the micro missions, but they certainly occupied gameplay space in a way that was not favorable towards the end, the design of the final product or whatever. And so I feel like they were a misstep, and removing the macro in so many of the missions was a misstep. I think we had 2 macro missions that I can remember. It was map 3 and then map 5. And then, yeah, I think that's about right. Because map 6 was that really weird mission where I was like using ghosts at first and then wraiths later. Yeah, so we had 2 macro missions on a 9-mission campaign. That's like 2 micro missions is too many. So what the fuck are you doing? Making 5 or 7 of them rather micro missions. The first 2 missions in particular were really bizarre. I guess the first 3 missions in general felt really fillery, and the story definitely did not get started off on a good foot. It felt like if there was a groove, which I don't really feel like there was, Tipereth got into it after the first couple of maps. Where I guess the consistent level of the campaign was probably achieved around map 5 or 6. But nothing was super consistent, and that's another problem. So the big contention is that the gameplay decisions to change the way like a normal RTS formula is for designing missions, all of those decisions were unanimously bad, and the upgraded units I felt were generally bad. Like they removed micro from the equation, or they were not possible to micro against when the units were used against you. The solutions were rarely elegant, were rarely skill-based. It was really just about, like, you know, gimmicking or cheesing things. And, yeah, I don't really think that there was a particular mission in the entire production that I felt was strong. The closest to it is map 3, but it's obviously not strong because you're going on an Easter egg hunt. And the AI that you're up against is not active at all. But that's like a mission where you just fix the AI problem, and you maybe add a couple of more expansions, but reduce the amount of resources in every expansion overall. Maybe that gets fixed, or it could at least be converted into a tolerable, passable mission. But nothing in here was passable, I don't think. And I do think that that's a big problem. Obviously, map 9 was very much a throwaway. And so I'll try to get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty stuff about the narrative, since that was obviously such a big focus of Tipereth. I'll try to get more into my concerns about the narrative in its own review, in Echoes' review, which I will try to make into a video format and publish on the channel instead of putting it in the Google Drive where all the other ones have been. But the gameplay is really lackluster to the point where there's not really even that much to talk about. And so I usually try to find an audience that would be that this sort of campaign, even watching a playthrough of it or playing through it yourself, would be useful or helpful to. Because rarely do I get to recommend something on the merits of its gameplay, or it's like, oh, you guys would have a blast playing this, because that's rarely the case with the campaigns that I've been playing lately, at least. But I feel like if you're a developer and you need reinforcement of why it's important to learn the rules and learn why formulas exist and why they work, you can look at this campaign and how it was an utter calamity, an utter disaster, like a complete collapse of trying to take something that is not as nailed down, not as ironed out in terms of its formula, in terms of like the theory behind why its concepts work. And like obviously the concept that Tipereth had for this campaign was way different than the concept of like a traditional 3-act story or something like that, right? And I'm not saying that it's wrong to veer off the beaten path, but you probably want to have a compelling, or like rather a competent understanding of why the 3-act structure works in stories, and how and even then go into the uncharted territory of how you can adapt that somehow to video games, because a video game without action is not really that useful, and especially in terms of like a custom campaign for a real-time strategy game. So you can't really have most of the first act. You have to start with conflict, which is like in the middle of the second act or halfway in that transitionary period between the first act and the second act. So you have to figure out how to adapt it to a video game structure in the first place, which is obviously going to be a fool's errand in most cases because of the fact that very few people can actually execute on the concepts that they come up with anyways. But I think it's important to understand how and why things work. Things that we know work do work. You gotta understand that before you try to reinvent the wheel, as I always say. So if you need a reminder as to what could go wrong, like a glimpse into what could possibly go wrong for something like taking a completely new take on, trying to execute on a completely new concept, or not that this is completely original anyways, but something that is different than what we know and what we're more familiar with, this is a campaign to look at for that. But otherwise, I don't really have any grounds to recommend it on. It's not even really like entertaining unintentionally. A lot of it is groaning and cringing and slogging and yawning. So I think we'll leave it with that. Thank you guys very much for joining me on this production. I will see you on the next campaign that eventually gets played. We'll see what that one is after, I don't know, maybe a day or two.